Hello, everybody. My name is Naji. I'm going to take you through a little presentation, just about 10 minutes, into Zero UI and how that is going to totally change how you interact with your customers. I've only got 10 minutes. I'm going to go relatively quickly. I've broken the presentation down into 4 different bits. We've got, first, what is Zero UI? What is it, the current state of it? The third is, where is it going? And then finally, what you need to know. So firstly, really quickly, I'm going to go through this first part as fast as possible, and then we'll get to the second half later. So I've broken it down into 5 different parts. We've got the first, your smart speakers, things like Google Home, Alexa. We kind of all know these devices. The second one, hearables. So things like the Sony Xperia Ear, the Google Pixel Buds, Braincomputer Dash. These are all devices that have the assistant built into them. These are more about having a personal thing in your ear. The third one we heard from Patrick, which is basically the Brita filter that orders products on your behalf. So you don't need to think about it. It just is fulfilled by Amazon Fulfillment. The third is, the fourth, sorry, is gestures, which is really around using your body as the interface to interact with the computer. So for example, there is Project Soli from Google. And I'm also wearing Project Jacquard, which is about making clothes touch interface. So I can tap and it will do different things and interact with my phone. But you can have a look at that later if you like. And then the last one is my favorite, so the Braincomputer Interface. So this is about using your thoughts to control the devices around you. So what is the current state of Zero UI? So if any of you saw the news during CES, you will have noticed that there was a lot of stuff around the Google Assistant. Pretty much every single stand at CES had some form of integration with the Google Assistant. There was also, they're calling it the war of the assistants as well, because it was about Google and Alexa basically trying to take up as much time and effort during the event. But what about some of those examples? So here we've got the the Amazon Go store, which is really a Zero UI experience when it comes to a physical retail experience. You walk in, you grab your products, and you walk back out again. DJI have gesture recognition built into their drones, so you don't even need a phone or a remote to control them. You can just let the thing take off from your hand, and then you can use your body to actually interact and tell it what to do. And you've got cards as well, so if anyone's got a BMW 7 Series with the tech package, you can actually use gestures to make the volume go up and down and interact with the infotainment system. And Byton also showed this off at CES as well. Now, with more and more devices becoming digitized, of course, you're probably not going to have a screen on all these things, so how you can interact with them. So the only one I'm going to look at here is the toilet. This is by far my favorite gadget right now. This toilet is $5,500 starting price. It has Bluetooth, a speaker, a microphone, a seat warmer, a foot warmer, and Alexa integration. You can flush this toilet from anywhere in your home using voice. Okay? Fantastic. But that is how you're going to start to interact with devices that become digitized, right? You're not going to have a screen on a toilet. That's just not very nice. I had a fantastic pun, but I'm not allowed to swear. So next one, Yamaha. They have an electric concept bike that you can use and gestures to tell it to go away and come towards you. Of course, if it's too noisy in an environment, that's probably how you're going to want to interact with things. So it's a self-balancing motorbike as well, so pretty cool little device. And also, Braincomputer Interest. You probably thought when I said that, oh, that's really far in the future, don't really need to think about it. Well, earlier this year, Nissan actually introduced a headset that they're using to teach their self-driving cars how to drive better. The reason being is that when you think about braking, there's actually a 300 millisecond gap between you thinking it and your foot doing it. So what they're doing is using that 300 millisecond gap to actually tell the car to prep for braking. So they're actually using this technology to understand what the driver's thinking and going to be doing, and then prepping the car to deliver a better experience. So where is Zero UI going? And the first thing is, you heard from Hugh's presentation earlier, people's expectations are changing. And people went from 2.6-day delivery to 1 day. Now, customers are starting to have really great and fantastic experiences with Zero UI with other brands, and they're going to come to expect that off of every other brand. So one example is myself. I'm an Amazon Fresh user, and what you see from this is my grocery experience. So I talk to Alexa, and I say, add product to my basket. She then adds it. I then spend literally 1 minute on my phone to check the basket and make the purchase, and then it's delivered either the same day or the next day. The interesting thing about this is 90% of my interactions with the brand is actually happening with voice. So I'm not actually spending that much time in the app. I just say what I want, or I scan it with a dash wand, and that's it. Fire and forget. and I'll just double check it later. So for me, I'm in the very last bit of this. So we're calling the display the fallback UI. So I'm basically spending 90% of my time not using a screen at all, and then a little bit of time just double checking the basket and making that final payment. Most people are kind of in that early stage, but we see everyone slowly moving towards a mainly Zero UI experience because it's easier, it's faster, and it's much more convenient because I can just be in the kitchen and say out loud what I want, and it'll just get done. So just a few stats. I've not got a lot of time, so really all I'm going to point out is Alibaba is placing 100,000 smart speakers inside Marriott hotel rooms around China. So no matter where you go, you're going to have a Zero UI experience at some point. And also, there are millions of devices being sold. Google on their own sold around 6 million over the Christmas period. And with Amazon and Google this year, they're probably going to be selling well over the 30 million mark. So these devices are going to be everywhere. So a little example of some companies that are actually investing heavily in this. Facebook, they are actually building a headset that will allow you to type at 100 words per minute over the next couple of years. So if you want to do a Facebook status update, think about it, and boom, it's posted. Right? At the minute, they've got it working at 8 words per minute, but it involves drilling an electrode in your head. So they're trying to iron those bits out, obviously. The last one's actually kind of my favorite. So these lights here are actually little actuators, and they vibrate at different frequencies, depending on what word goes through this computer. And so this lady can actually feel these words that are coming through it. So the idea being that you can get like information sent to you. You don't need to hear it. You don't need to see it. You basically feel language on your arm. So yeah, it's pretty freaky, but it's pretty cool. And the whole idea here is it's getting towards this thing called technopathy. So it's kind of like a superhero term. It's about us as humans being able to control the devices around us using just thought. You know, walking into a room and just thinking about the lights going on, and the lights will turn on. Thinking about wanting something added to your basket, and it'll be added to your basket and paid for and sent to you. That's where we're going to end up going with Zero UI. So finally, what do you need to know? Well, I've broken it down to these little bits. First off, we've heard all day, you've got to be thinking a lot more long-term when it comes to your strategy. 3 to 5 years is not really long enough. We need to be thinking 10, 20 years when it comes to strategy, because what you do now is really going to influence what happens then. Have you got Zero UI brand guidelines? We probably all know how far away our logo needs to be to the edge of the page, but are you a male or female? Are you young or old? Are you male to male users, female to female? Or are you always young or always old, depending on who you listen to? So these are the kind of things we're going to have to think about and figure out to deliver the best experience possible for our users. We need to make sure that you're utilizing data. And also that feeds in quite nicely into building POCs, so proof of concepts. It is not that hard to build a skill on Alexa or on Google Assistant. Get on there, start learning about it, because no one is going to tell you what is the best way to sell to someone using voice. It's still quite a new technology. So the only way to learn is by doing. And then finally, go out and buy an Echo Dot and a Google Home Mini. I mean, they're super cheap. If you don't own one, you really should. So just go out and buy them. I've got them basically spread around my house to much of my wife's annoyance, but they're everywhere. But it allows you to understand how the technology is changing and what's happening as time goes on and what the experiences are, what the differences are between the two different products. So finally, to wrap up, it's going mainstream. It's going to be everywhere. There are millions of these devices going to be sold this year. It's really being driven by voice, but it's not the only thing that's actually going to be there and that you can use to interact with the machine. User experiences are changing, which means we need to adapt to those changes. And the brain-to-computer interface is the final aim of all of this. And finally, don't just sit there thinking this is really cool, which it is, but go out there and actually try and test and play with this technology and learn about it, because it is really going to affect how you interact with all of your customers, how they're going to be buying from you in the future. Thank you very much.